In the winter of 1977, a single photograph stunned the world. It showed a young girl, 11-year-old Janet Hodgson, suspended mid-air above her bed in a cramped London council house, her body frozen in a rigid, unnatural arch. Her arms were thrown backward like she'd been yanked by an invisible force, her mouth wide open, mid-scream. To the skeptics, it was nothing more than a jump, a staged moment caught at the perfect time. To the believers, it was proof that something inside that house was strong enough to lift a child off the ground. But here's the part most people don't know. That single photograph wasn't the scariest thing captured inside the Enfield house. Because investigators didn't just take pictures, they kept tapes, dozens of tapes, recordings of voices, knocks, growls, and a deep rasping tone that seemed to come from inside Janet's throat, a voice doctors swore she was physically incapable of producing. Some evidence looked fake, some looked real. But then there are the moments you never see in the movie that even the skeptics couldn't explain. This is the true, terrifying story behind The Conjuring 2. The real haunting that divided experts, baffled police, and left one family forever changed. This is the story of the Enfield Poltergeist. The Hodgson family lived in a small, cluttered council house on 284 Green Street in Enfield, North London. It wasn't the kind of place where supernatural legends start. It was cramped, cold, a little worn down, but it was home. Single mother Peggy Hodgson was raising 4 children on her own. Margaret, 14, Janet, 11, Johnny, 10, and Billy, 7. On the night of August 30th, 1977, Peggy heard something from the girls' bedroom. Something heavy, something shifting. She went upstairs and found her daughters sitting upright, wide-eyed, staring at the wooden dresser across the room. "Mom, it's moving." Peggy watched just for a moment as the chest of drawers slid 2 full feet across the floor. No shaking, no creaking, just motion. She pushed it back. It slid forward again, and when she tried one last time pushing with all of her strength, the dresser wouldn't budge. It was like something on the other side was pushing back. Peggy grabbed all 4 kids and ran to the neighbor's house. They refused to go back inside. That night was only the beginning. When the police arrived, they expected a domestic disturbance, maybe a break-in. What they got instead has become one of the most famous statements in paranormal history. 2 officers entered the house. They looked around the living room, finding nothing unusual. But as they stood talking with Peggy, a chair in the corner lifted slightly off the floor and slid several feet sideways. One officer, Carolyn Heaps, saw it with her own eyes. Her official written report reads, "It moved on its own. I checked it for wires, for anything hidden. There was nothing." Police searched the home. They checked the attic. They checked the locks. They checked the windows. They found absolutely nothing. And as the house grew colder and quieter, the officers made a decision that almost never happens in paranormal cases. They left. But before leaving, one officer turned to Peggy and said, "I'm sorry, but we can't help you with this." And they never returned. The activity grew stranger and darker. Knocking that followed the children from room to room. Voices whispering in the walls. Toys flying through the air. Furniture shaking violently. Janet, the one who seemed most affected, started waking up in strange places. Once, she woke up on top of a tall dresser, folded upright like a rag doll. Another time, she woke up downstairs in the kitchen, sitting in a chair she had no memory of walking to. Peggy called the Daily Mirror, desperate for help. When the reporters arrived, nothing happened at first. Then one of the cameramen screamed. A Lego brick had shot across the room and hit him so hard that it left a bruise under his eye for days. Within 24 hours, the Society for Psychical Research, the SPR, was involved. And that was when the case truly exploded. 2 primary investigators were assigned to the case. Maurice Grosse, a deeply serious, somewhat grieving man who had lost his daughter the year before. Some say he was hoping for proof of life after death. Lyon Playfair, a more skeptical researcher, but also extremely interested in genuine paranormal events. They set up camp in the house. Night after night, they sat in Janet's room, tape recorders running, cameras ready. They experienced loud knocks, scratching in the walls, metallic bangs, sudden temperature drops, disembodied voices, and then something new. A deep, gravelly growl began speaking through Janet. At first, it sounded like a hoarse whisper, but within days, it became a full-voice, rough, guttural, and disturbingly male. Bill claimed he had died in the house, in a chair in the living room. He described details he should not have known.
Days before I died, I had a wind blowing, then I had an hemorrhage and not been asleep, and I died in a chair in the corner downstairs.
Technicians tested Janet. Doctors tested her vocal cords. The sounds were produced using a part of the throat that children her age were not physically capable of using without damage. But Janet had no damage, and she could speak like this for hours. Was she possessed? Trapped? Acting? Even today, no one agrees. But one fact remains. When Bill spoke, everyone in that house froze. The recordings exist, and they are horrifying. This is the photo that started our story, the one skeptics still argue about. Investigators set a camera on a timed trigger late one night. The shutter clicked 3 times. Photo 1, Janet sitting upright in bed. Photo 2, Janet lifted several feet in the air, arms rigid, mouth open, hair flying. Photo 3, Janet's landing body bent backward, legs extended, not in a pose consistent with jumping. Experts argue about this frame to this day. Some say it's a jump caught mid-frame. Others say the trajectory makes no sense. And others point out that in some of the photos, the bedsheets are moving as if being pulled, even though Janet's hands are nowhere near them. One investigator later said, "If this was jumping, then it was the most violent, unnatural jump I've ever seen." After 2 years of activity, the house suddenly quieted. The Hodgsons eventually moved. The investigators left their files behind, and the case sank into legend. But here's what the movie didn't tell you. One of the children refused to sleep in a room with the lights off. Janet claimed the activity never fully stopped.
And I didn't feel in control.
Maurice Grosse believed until the day he died that what he witnessed was real. And in a strange twist, the man Bill described did exist. Records later confirmed a man named Bill Wilkins had died in that house. His son even came forward and verified the details. So was it real? A hoax? Mass hysteria? Or something else entirely? No one, not even the skeptics, can fully explain everything that happened inside 284 Green Street. Not the voices, not the knocks, not the photos, not the fear, and certainly not the girl who levitated. You've been watching Last Known Report. If you made it this far, you don't just watch horror stories, you investigate them. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next case, because some of the darkest stories we've covered, they haven't even been told yet. And if you ever find yourself hearing knocks inside your walls, just remember the family who heard them first.